Oh, let us take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. We thank you for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. We have titled this transmission, Changes in Your Upcoming Year of 2020 and How They May Affect the Window of Extraterrestrial Open Contact. Now, there is as you say on your planet, a lot to unpack in this subject. So, bear with us. This is an unusual transmission in a variety of ways, mostly because we often refrain from commenting too deeply on your political situations. It is usually not our purview to intervene, to interfere, to make too strong a series of comments about the way you have decided to run your planet with regard to your sociological, religious, and political structures. However, there is certain energies, certain situations approaching in your year of 2020 that at this point it is imperative for us, at least to a certain degree, to address. Because you are arriving at a pivotal point in your history. And we mean this quite literally. Your year of 2020 is literally a pivot point in the splitting prism that is now going on your planet with regard to splitting into different parallel realities, different time tracks, different versions of Earth. The idea of 2020, and we will speak of this more in upcoming transmissions throughout your present year and the upcoming year of 2020. But as you yourselves have often noticed, this term of 2020 has a double meaning. Both the idea of looking back to the past, 2020 hindsight, as you say, and seeing more sharply, more clearly, certain events that happen that you can learn lessons from, ideally to apply to your future. And at the same time, you use the term 2020 to talk about how clearly you see where you are going. Foresight and hindsight blended together in this term to create a pivotal state in which certain things that happen will greatly affect the course that you may take, the opportunities that may be available to you, the challenges that will come up that will allow you to go through whatever processes you need to go through to choose the reality that you prefer in this splitting prism time and pivotal year. Now, let us back up a bit. As we said, there's a lot to unpack. Many of you have heard us talk about the idea of the species that you know as the Greys, and we have talked about their history as humans on a parallel version of Earth that ultimately destroyed their world, mutated themselves in order to adapt, lost a great deal of ability to experience emotion, to reproduce, and use their advanced technology to tunnel, as it were, into yours and other parallel reality versions of Earth where human DNA was still viable, in order to create hybrid species that would be capable of perpetuating their society so they would not die out. Our civilization being one of those hybrid societies that they created. But the hybridization agenda did not occur, did not happen until long after they had destroyed their world. And we have mentioned from time to time That one of the reasons we are sharing insights and information from our evolutionary experiences that we believe can help you in your evolutionary experience in moving forward in a more positive way, that one of the reasons for this is because we have observed that many aspects of your history parallel some of the aspects of their history that allowed them to travel down a very dark and negative path. So there are some attributes of what we have perceived in your society that are similar enough to certain events that happened in their society that forced them down a path where their world completely collapsed and they had to mutate themselves in order to survive. We are attempting to help you avoid that path. Of course, the choice is always up to you. We cannot tell you what to do. We cannot force you to do anything. We would never do so. Nevertheless, we can give you some insights that can help you make the choices that you prefer to make to experience the world you prefer to experience, the parallel version of Earth that is more reflective of who you prefer to be and the kind of reality you prefer to experience. Therefore, one of the main events that we have discussed coming up in your future is the idea of open contact with different extraterrestrial civilizations. Many of you already know that we exist, but it is in many cases still suppressed and hidden information. Now, there are certain things that are happening that can color in a positive direction what we are about to say about your political situation. And so we will give you that first. The idea being that certain aspects of what you call disclosure have begun to happen. They start small, but they will grow. But we have noticed that they are beginning, starting to leak into your society globally. This is primarily because certain individuals who were ensconced in many of the organizations, clandestine organizations that were responsible for keeping the secret of our existence, have decided that they no longer wish to do that and have left those organizations and are starting to relay to your public the understanding of our existence, the understanding of our relationship, and are beginning to speak freely as they possibly can, to let you know that they have direct experience with many things having to do with extraterrestrial beings, and that they are now willing to talk, and now willing no longer to lie. So these very high-level individuals in your government, in your military, are starting to come forward now. And this is the beginnings. Again, maybe small at first, but definitely the beginnings of the process of disclosure of our existence. However, we now wish to address your present political situation. As you have witnessed on your planet, in your own country, and in many other countries on Earth, there is a growing propensity for individuals to be placed in positions of power who wish to retain that power at all costs, who will not necessarily serve the needs of the many, but only the needs of the few, to paraphrase one of your science fiction films. So this is what we have to say, and it is an opportunity for you to make a great shift in the direction of your preference. And we are allowed at this time to speak a little bit more deeply about offering you some suggestions for your political situation as it relates to the window of contact. Primarily because, and this is what's critical, if the situation and the state of being doesn't shift in a more positive direction in your pivotal year of 2020, the window of contact will drastically shrink. And depending upon what happens in the years following that moment, it may even to some degree erase. Now, we have from time to time talked about things that we sense are coming up. One in particular is that we told you that your year of 2016 would be another pivotal point, and that in 2016 everything would change, which I believe most of you will see that it has from what it was before. Not necessarily in the direction that you prefer. So now we would like to reinforce the understanding that if you are willing to make another shift through your actions, you can shift this energy back. But if you don't, the window of contact will be more elusive and more challenging to find. So, again, not telling you what to do. We cannot do that. Not forcing you, but suggesting to you that if you are truly interested in experiencing open contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, then we strongly urge you to do everything in your power to make sure that in your upcoming year of 2020 politically, everything in your nation changes in a more positive direction. This is a crucial, pivotal point in your history. The maintenance of negative energy to the degree that it is now being expressed in your country and in other countries around the world will steer you in the downward spiral that was similar to the path of history that allowed the Greys to destroy their version of Earth. This is, and we cannot stress this enough, an absolutely critical and crucial pivot point for many of you. You can do something about it, but you must act. And if you choose not to, then you may find that discussing the very concept of open contact with us will no longer be a viable choice of conversation. Now, I am going to, again, be allowed to put this in what you would call more practical and pragmatic language, even though we believe that most of you sense what we were suggesting. So we will simply say it this way. You must, if you have the ability to do so, vote. Do you hear us? Yes. Do you hear us? Yes. Do you hear us? Yes. Now, we understand that many individuals will not prefer this energy to shift, and that we understand and have observed that many individuals and organizations are doing their utmost to make sure that it does not. There is what you would call interference from foreign nations with special interests, and even from within your own nation with the same special interests. Now, we understand that it may be, in some sense, relatively unavoidable that such interference will happen. It will be something that can be mitigated, and we know there are individuals on your planet that are working to do so and minimize any negative effect that such interference from others may have in your upcoming elections. But there are actually other things you can do to mitigate it yourselves. One of the most powerful things you can do is to actually cast your vote early, earlier than your election day. In your state, in your county, you are allowed to actually vote almost a full month ahead of your election day. The faster the votes and the earlier the votes come in, the less interference there can be, the less manipulation there can be. The votes will have to be counted because they will already have been registered before any of the voting processes have actually engaged full bore. And they will have to be counted. Investigate all the things you can do to make sure that your voice and your vote will count. Be aware and allow yourselves to take action. For remember, once again, words are all well and good. Intentions are all well and good. But the language of physical reality is physical action. Therefore, actions taken will matter. Actions not taken will matter too, but not necessarily in a direction that you prefer. Do you understand what we are saying? Yes. So it is up to you. It is still your world. And in the upcoming transmissions, we may be allowed to interject more commentary about your political situation. We will see. But the main reason we are allowed to do so now, while still reminding you that it's your choice, is simply because this is such a crucial pivot point in your history. Were it not so, we would not necessarily have even been allowed to explain what we have just explained. So, the fact that we are even talking about this should perhaps indicate the gravity of the situation. So, if you are going to maintain contact with us and allow the window of contact to be as wide as possible, as accelerated as possible, act in your own interests. Act and make a difference and be counted. Yes? Yes. All right. We thank you for allowing us to explain this circumstance in this way, and in return for the gift that you are giving us and allowing us to experience all of you, I ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogue if you wish.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So with the recent movements toward disclosure, that is going to happen either way, probably, right?
It will to some degree, but remember that at a certain point, depending upon how the winds change, it may have more or less of a challenge in doing so. So don't rely on that. Rely on yourself.
Okay.
Support the idea of those who are coming out and disclosing what they know. By all means, actively support it in some way, shape, or form. Help them dispense the information to the public. Support them how you can. But at the same time, that is not an alternative to what we said.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot do it alone.
Okay, so we do want disclosure even if our political system doesn't change, or?
That's up to you, isn't it? You decide what world you prefer. You can choose a world without disclosure. It's up to you. Do you prefer disclosure? Do you prefer open contact?
Yes, I prefer it.
Then actions taken in that direction and in any direction that would remove any particular challenges or roadblocks to it being a path of least resistance will be something that you can take action on, yes?
Yes.
So then, is that not something relatively obvious?
Yes.
All right.
Obvious.
And so?
I would like to take this opportunity to ask you what your perspective is of your relationship with beings, Sasani beings that I've been interacting with through as channeled entities. Bori, Ryok, and Shikoi. Can you make any connectional links to what your relationship is to those beings?
Shikoi is something that is primarily focused on connections to the natural world. Do you understand?
Yes.
Nature. That is the vibration that that being prefers to discuss. The others have to do with hybridization agendas and the evolution of your planet transforming into the sixth hybrid race.
Okay.
Is that what you mean by our relationship?
So you're working with them as well?
Not directly.
Earth. Okay.
Not directly, but we all work together in a variety of ways according to our own preferences and our own passions. It all goes toward the idea of sharing information that can allow you and other civilizations to adopt different perspectives that can allow you to live a more positive and constructive and powerful life. So no matter in what way different members of my society may choose to interact with different members of your society or other societies among the stars, it is all generally for the purpose of connecting as family and expanding our collective consciousness. Yes?
Yes. Okay.
And so, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Anything else?
Yes. I was wondering if there would be any benefit for you to open the channel's eyes and have that be how you are being channeled instead of having them closed.
Not at this time, because the process of transformation for the channel is that when his eyes are open, he will be channeling his own higher mind.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Yes, this is why he is, bit by bit, learning to become a public speaker in his own right as well.
Oh.
Now that he understands many of the principles, he can talk relatively eloquently on them himself without necessarily needing us to guide him at this time. Therefore, this is part of his transition so that he feels more of a difference between us.
I see. I am going to be 42 years old soon.
Oh, what a baby, what a child.
Mm-hmm. And I know there's a version of you that's also 42. And I was wondering if you could give me a fraction of the amount of perspectives that you experienced at age 42 over or under the amount of perspectives I have experienced in my version of being age 42.
In my experience of 42, as you say, of course, our years being different than yours. So do you mean in your years or our years?
Just how many perspectives that you've experienced in your lifetime, like how many frames?
In my lifetime, up to what age?
42.
Oh, all right. 5,247.
That's how many perspectives?
Yes.
So we don't have a different perspective ever billions of times per second?
You do, but we assume that when you use the term perspective, you are still talking about something that lasts for some duration in linear time so that you are aware of the fact that there is a different perspective.
Oh.
Because even though the perspective shifts billions of times per second, you're not necessarily completely conscious or aware of that. You experience it only as a smooth continuity expressed as time.
Okay, I see. And how many have I experienced?
At 42?
Yes.
About 2,457.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, kind of. You're able to experience.
You understand that you can't actually compare the two because it depends upon your process, your theme of exploration, as to how many times you choose to do that. One has absolutely nothing to do with the other because our processes are different.
Oh, okay.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. So it's not a measuring device.
Okay. Well, some of those frames that we can't sense, are they like having physical contact with extraterrestrials? Me? Like the ones that I can't sense?
Yes. In some cases, yes.
So like right now, I could just be missing it, but we're actually having physical contact.
Well, we would assume that in this conversation you wouldn't feel like anything is missing since you're having contact right now.
Yeah, no, but I mean with a physical form in a way, like of you
Of us specifically?
or any type of extraterrestrial.
What is it you're asking?
Like, are we actually, like, right now having physical contact with an extraterrestrial?
Some version of you is, yeah.
Okay. We just can't sense that right now.
Correct, because it's not part of your process right now to do so.
Okay. I have one last question.
Yes.
I have had a lot of powerful dreams where I would be playing music and sleeping,
Yes.
and that wasn't in the dream. I was actually playing music and sleeping with the music on.
Oh, yes.
And I also used to be able to make my son laugh when he was asleep, when he was young,
Yes.
like just by kind of tickling him and talking to him in a voice.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if you could explain the mechanics of that, so we're still connected somehow to our physical reality when we're sleeping.
Well, of course you are, otherwise you'd be dead.
Okay, so
You always maintain that connection until you're done.
so even when we're asleep, is there any?
Yes, of course. Otherwise, again, you would be dead.
Do you have any suggestions on how?
How to die?
No, like
How
how
to
I
sleep?
could become more.
Lucid?
Yeah, I mean to use that state of being, like to become
More lucid.
more in the closer to quasi physical.
Well, closer to quasi-physical is a different thing to some degree. Although by following your passion, following the formula the best you can with no insistence on the outcome and remaining in a positive state no matter what happens so you can extract the positive benefit from whatever happens, is the way to accelerate your vibration, raise your frequency, become more aware, more lucid in the physical dream as well as perhaps in what you call the nighttime dream, and accelerate you as an evolutionary step towards becoming more quasi-physical in the same way that we are, although that won't necessarily be achieved by the society as a whole for many hundreds of years. But individuals can experience flashes of it now as part of their process of awakening, yes. But you can, again, just follow the formula and allow synchronicity to bring you what you need. And anytime you may find yourself hesitating to receive it, stop and use that moment and find out what belief systems within you might be working that are out of alignment with who you prefer to be, that are preventing you from experiencing what you may prefer to experience. Yes?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes.
Pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. So, big, heavy talk today. And just for everyone in the room, how can we take the best possible actions to shift the energy back while maintaining a positive state and not going into lower states of fear or
Did I not just mention the formula?
follow your highest excitement?
What's the rest of it? I know that many of you remember the first part.
Take the action.
Act on it to the best you can
Yeah.
with,
No expectation.
well, not so much the idea of using the term expectation, though we understand it can be that, but more specifically, no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome is supposed to be. And then remain in a positive state so you can extract the benefit from whatever manifests. Because even if what manifests is something you objectively don't prefer, you have to know from a positive point of view that it must be there for a reason. And if you know it's there for a reason, you will remain in a positive state and you will be able to extract a beneficial effect from having remained in that state. Whereas if you assume that it's an interruption or something is wrong because something didn't manifest the way you thought it should, then you will only experience the negative result of that thing having manifested. The idea is to know that everything can serve double duty. And again, even if you objectively, neutrally realize it's not something you prefer, knowing it's there for a reason will allow you to realize how you can use what you don't prefer in a way that you do. That is the formula to follow. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it's just always great to hear you say it again.
Because again, the idea The idea of staying in that positive state really just comes down to realizing that if you don't, then you are telling yourself that there is more benefit in choosing something other than what you prefer. If that is the case,
That's not possible.
well, it is. You can choose something you don't prefer by having a belief that says you actually do prefer it. That's why you have to get in touch with what the belief is that would make you see something that is out of alignment with you seem to be more beneficial than what would actually be beneficial to you. That's why it's so crucial to get in touch and make conscious what those belief systems are. Yes? Mm-hmm. Once you discover what that belief could possibly be, you will see the illogic in it. You will see the nonsense in it. And once you see that, then that belief is gone. Mm-hmm. But you have to know what it is. Otherwise, if it remains unconscious, it will simply keep triggering you to believe that choosing things that are not to your benefit are actually to your benefit. Or vice versa, that things that are to your benefit, it would make you believe that they're not. At least not as much as what it is getting you to believe you should choose. This is called the motivational mechanism. Yes?
Yes.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
So, does that answer your question?
Yes. So follow the formula and vote 1 month before, guys. All right. And for other viewers. Okay.
Up to you.
Yes. Suggested.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Next question. What's my average? When we did a private session, I asked you about what's my average vibrational rate range. Can you give me that? And what?
Right now?
Let's go with the 3-day average range.
A 3-day average of 3 days you haven't experienced yet?
Yeah, the previous 72 hours.
Oh, previous.
Average 25th to 75th percentile range. Yeah.
About 158 to 165,000.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it dropped. Okay.
You know why it dropped?
I don't. Could you?
Because you asked for it.
I did.
Because why do you need to know? If you are following your passion, just follow your passion. You don't need to keep measuring your vibrational rate. You will know that if you're following your passion, following the formula, following the instruction manual as precisely as you can, you will maintain the highest possible vibration at that moment, but also understand that sometimes the vibration needs to fluctuate because different states require different frequencies for you to accomplish certain things. You don't always stay up here. Sometimes you have to lower your vibration to use what you learned up here in a more applicable way down here. But again, as we have said, it's not necessarily about looking at the idea like this. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. The idea is to look at it like this. I'm up, I'm down, but I'm higher than before. I'm up, I'm down, but I'm higher than before. I'm up, I'm down, but I'm higher than before. So that you're constantly climbing even while you're fluctuating up and down because it might be necessary for you to do so to do the things you need to do in physical reality. That's a different way to look at it. Yes?
Yes.
So by thinking that you are lower than you should be or lower than you were, you're sort of looking at the concept in a more negative way, which lowers the vibration.
Got it.
Yes?
Just know that I am always doing the best I can.
Just know that you are always exactly where you need to be. And if you find out that you're not where you prefer to be, then simply keep acting on your passion and it will correct the idea of the vibration and raise it accordingly.
Got it.
Yes? Does that help?
That helps.
All right.
Next.
Will that do?
One more question.
Oh, all right.
All right. So I had this really interesting, highest excitement idea this morning.
Yes.
And I'd like to get your point on that.
Oh, all right.
I recently bought these 0-point energy machines that are just wonderful. I don't know how I can describe that to you even better.
Oh, all right, if you say so. What do they look like?
It's like a tower. It's got some Tesla stuff and it's
a tower, some Tesla
live
stuff.
Machine, and another one called the Miracle iCube. So,
what makes you certain that they are 0-point energy machines?
That's what the founder told me. Are they, from your perspective? No? Okay.
However,
Are they beneficial for me?
they can be, if for nothing else, they can certainly function as permission slips to allow you to tap into your 0-point energy connection more strongly by using them as permission slips. But they themselves are not designed to specifically be 0-point energy transformers. They do tap into 0-point energy to some degree, but not necessarily in the way that you might think, and not necessarily in a way that can be immediately applied in your physical reality.
Okay. But, okay.
Yes?
So my idea was I can send that energy to people
Yes.
that needs it and who want an energetic,
Who wish to accept it by matching the frequency and making their own energy be that same vibration. Yes.
who would like to accept it by matching their frequency to
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And also who are matching the energetic frequency of sending me dollars
Why only dollars?
and other forms of abundance. But let's just play. Let's go with dollars.
All right, let's go with dollars.
Yeah. And then so it becomes like a money generating machine.
I see.
Yeah. And then I just make sure, set the intention,
Yes.
and collect dollars to show up in the best way possible.
Okay.
And is that permission slip, is that true as I'm living into that as a knowing that's true for me?
Since you had to ask, the answer is no.
Okay, so I will not ask that.
Too late. Too late. But again, you might benefit from relaxing your insistence that abundance has to come that way. For you to recognize,
You mean in the form of money?
yes,
Okay.
because it might, but does it have to? As long as you are supported in some way, shape, or form that allows you to continue to act on your excitement to the best you can, why do you care what form it comes in? That's the real question. As long as it does what you need it to do, why do you care how it looks? So it's all well and good to do the exercise, but when you narrow it down too specifically, you might actually be short-circuiting your own permission slip. Why not let it be broad and bring you abundance in any form that it can? Why so narrow a field?
Got it.
Yes? If you can answer that question for yourself, you will have a greater understanding of what belief systems you have.
I have a belief that is not, I'm believing in something that is not for my highest good. That is something that I don't know the exact belief right now, but I will work on that.
All right. And again, you might also ask yourself if you are simply doing this as a means to an end instead of something that is actually representative of your passion. Because many times people will say that they'll focus on things like money, thinking that that's just the way to get them to be able to do their passion, instead of focusing on the passion and letting the passion bring the money or whatever form of abundance will allow the passion to continue. If you're only focusing on a means to an end and it's not really your passion, then it's not necessarily going to work the way you intended because you're working it backwards. Passion contains everything you need. It is a complete kit, leaves nothing relevant out. So if money is necessary, it will come. If gifts are necessary, it will come. If an opportunity to trade is necessary, it will come. If what you need comes in the form of synchronicity, it will come. If your imagination gets inspired and opened up, it will come, because those are all forms of abundance. But letting the machine work in the way it was designed, instead of focusing on the idea of the minutia of the mechanisms within it, as if that's going to make it work better, is not really a deep understanding of how things work. Does that make sense?
I'm focusing on the weeds and not trusting versus stepping back.
Well, you're trusting something, but you're putting your trust in the components of the machine instead of simply the output of the machine. Because it's not really necessary for you to understand all the components, in much the same way that it's not really necessary for you to understand how an automobile on your planet works for you to get into the seat and drive it. You're focused on the output. When you go to your car, it's just, this is going to take me somewhere. You don't go, well, let's see, I'm going to stand here, and first I'm going to figure out how the drive shaft is connected to the engine, and how the spark plugs work, and how all these different pistons go up and down, and what kind of fuel they're burning, and I'm going to make the car work by understanding all of that. It's all well and good to have an understanding of the mechanism if your passion is to work on cars. But if it's not really, and the idea of your passion is just to get where you want to go, then just get in the car and go. That's the difference.
It seems, and I hope it's not just me, that there's that something not 100% in the trust of following the formula.
All right, I understand. We understand very simply, very clearly, that it might be challenging for many of you to understand what it is we're saying, that the formula really is actually literally a description of how reality works. It is literally an instruction manual. But it's up to you to understand that it works that way, because if you don't understand it, it'll still work, but it may not work to your advantage.
Right, and I'm trying to align my understanding to that.
Yes.
Through knowledge and through...
That's fine.
And through some kind of experiments to...
All right, that's fine
gather...
too. That's fine too. But the experiment needs to be designed for the result you prefer.
Not setting yourself up.
Correct.
Okay, because you're always getting what you believe in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
One last one.
Oh, another last one.
Yeah, really, really last one.
Really, really last one. All right, well, we'll see.
Last time we talked, I asked you, what is my role in this hybridization agenda? And he's like, you probably don't want to know. If it's still in my highest good not to know, please don't say anything. If it is in my highest good to know, can you tell me what it is?
Bye-bye.
All right, I'll take that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
And you good day.
Good day, Bashar. I feel like I'm showing up for my appointment.
All right.
And
shall I check you in?
Yes.
Would you please fill out this form?
I did that already.
Oh, all right. Then have a seat. The doctor will be with you in a moment.
Thank you.
Hello. What seems to be the issue today?
I want to speak with you about some dreams I had.
Yes. Oh, so it's the dream doctor.
Yes.
That you wish to see.
Today.
All right.
So a couple weeks ago, I had a dream that I was interacting with some higher dimensional beings.
Yes.
And I did notice during the dream that it wasn't a human interaction.
All right.
Very
good.
Their responses were coming through on like a transcript, so that it was like written out in English.
Yes.
And I kept touching it. And every time I touched it,
yes,
I would get this like energetic
download.
Felt like a blast.
Yes.
And it felt very intense.
Yes.
And when I woke up, I could still feel it.
Yes. So far, you haven't described anything mysterious.
It's slightly mysterious to me.
Oh, all right. Why? What do you interpret this to mean?
Well, I noticed after that I was feeling exceptionally good.
All right. And?
Feeling really happy and
yes,
lots of energy and feeling great.
All right. So you experienced your true natural state. In that communication, you opened up and allowed yourself to resonate to something that is more representative of your true natural state, of who you really are. That's you. That's really you.
And that was the purpose of that?
One of them. But it also downloaded information that'll play out over time.
Right. Okay. Because I don't remember what was said.
You don't have to right now. It's more important that you remember the state of being. And act from that state as best you can in life.
Yeah, I would say it changed me.
Well, you changed.
Yes.
Yes. You made a choice to change. In that sense, you allowed yourself to become, shall we say, upgraded?
Yes.
Yes.
It felt like it.
All right. Well, congratulations on gaining more conscious awareness of your interaction with other beings on that level and retaining some awareness of the state that represents who you are.
Who were the beings?
One of them was you in another reality, so to speak. Because this is often the case. In order to engender a sense of familiarity, yes? So it's another version of you, if you want to use that term, in an alternate reality. But the others were friends, co-workers, part of a soul family. Do you mean specifically what civilization?
Sure.
They were hybrids, mostly from the Yael, but there were a few others hanging around.
Was this version of myself the being who was piloting the UFO that I saw?
Yes.
So there's another dream that I'd like to discuss.
All right.
And I remember looking at a blank TV screen,
Yes.
and I saw a disc-shaped UFO
Yes.
cross the screen.
And what was your reaction to that?
I was excited.
All right.
And then
They took that as a positive sign
yeah. Okay, and then
because that was the test. How will you react to this image?
okay. All right, so then a second image happened of the same thing. And then at the same time, I saw from about like the torso up an alien slowly moving across the screen and looking at me.
That looked like what?
Well, I turned to whoever I was with and I said, he looks Essassani.
Yes, a hybrid.
Yes. And I was,
And he looks Sassani. Sassani is the planet. So I'm assuming he didn't look like a planet.
right. Okay. He looks Sassani to me.
Yes.
So who was that?
A Sassani being.
Someone that I know?
Sort of, yes. An acquaintance. Someone you will get to know better over time through these interactions. And the relationship at some point will shift, probably in the next 3 years or sooner.
Is this someone that I might see in person?
Possibly eventually. Of course, you are seeing them in person on another level already. But I assume you mean your level of physical reality.
Yes.
Eventually, probably. There is at least 87% probability, maybe 88.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm slightly curious
Oh,
about.
slightly curious.
Slightly curious.
All right.
My dad passed many
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
And I feel him around,
Yes.
but recently I was having words with him in my head.
Because?
Well, I was looking at some old patterns, and they had to do with
In
him.
him or in you?
In me.
Yes, that you believe you picked up from him?
We're related to him, yes.
All right.
And so, in a sense, I was kind of speaking to him,
Yes.
and I was in the car.
Yes.
And as soon as I had these words in my
Yes.
head,
What happened?
the windshield wiper went.
All right.
I didn't turn it on. There was no rain or anything.
And the symbol is?
Was he saying, hello, hi, I hear you?
Well, yes, but also please wipe this from your mind.
Oh,
See more clearly.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at the past, look ahead. Clean
Yeah.
your window, look forward where you're going.
that makes sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yeah. It was, wow, now that you say that, it's such an obvious metaphor.
Yes, it is.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Does that help?
I have a few more things,
Maybe.
maybe. So I work with this being who I've seen as tall and ethereal, and I feel like there's 8 of them, and the main one's name is Sky.
All right.
Can you tell me about this being?
Not at this time, I can't. They say no. They say shh.
Okay.
They say we will speak with her.
Yeah.
Not my job.
Okay. And then there's another being who, well, it's a gray alien, and I first met with him years ago, and he feels kind of like my cousin, or like a
Yes.
annoying brother, kind of.
An annoying brother.
His name is Bizzle.
All right, well, you have to give us a moment because we're actually laughing even though you can't detect it.
Yeah.
Because that means something in another language. Not sure you want to know.
Well, now I do, I think.
Sure you want us to say this in public?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think so.
You don't get to vote.
Well, now I'm curious, so yeah.
I thought you were only slightly curious.
I'm very curious.
Now you're very curious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're having a little fun with you because bizzle in the old language actually has to do with curiosity,
Really?
with mystery, with being willing to go forward in the mystery. But it's not so much that concept expressed in that way. It's the word that represents the feeling you get when you do that. You are in a state of bizzle.
Wow.
Perhaps in your reality, it would be more commonly expressed as puzzlement, but in the sense of finding a great mystery to solve, something that attracts you, that you must figure out. Bizzle is the state of being. Yes? So,
Yeah.
you're being given a word that vibrationally is representative of the state of being that will serve you best on your journey. Always be bizzle. Always be curious. Always be open. Always follow the mystery. Always follow the synchronicity. You'll only discover more of yourself in it. So be bizzle.
Interesting.
Yes?
So who's Bizzle?
No, it's not a who.
There is a who, though.
Yes, but the idea is that they're not actually called bizzle.
I gotcha.
It's a vibration given to you to help connect you more strongly to them. They don't have names,
Oh.
but it is a gray. And the idea is, again, it is related. Another version of yourself at a different stage. Let's put it this way. You're meeting different versions of yourself at different stages.
What stage is that?
Well, as you understand, or perhaps you don't, the story we have told is that the Greys were humans,
Yeah.
transformed themselves, mutated themselves into what you call the Greys, but then used human DNA to hybridize themselves into something that's starting to look more human as they go along. Yes? So the idea is, in each of those stages, you have a counterpart. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it is that state of bizzle, that state of mystery, that state of curiosity that will drive you to understand how to connect to all the different stages that your oversoul has created as counterparts for you that will allow you to experience a kind of lineage through the idea of the hybridization agenda that you're connected to. Is this making some sense to you?
Yeah. Okay. Can I also...
That is not the only interpretation of bizzle, but we can't go into the other ones.
Okay. Do I have hybrid children?
Yes.
Does that mean that at some point there was genetic material taken from this body?
Yes. Is that okay?
Yeah. How many do I have?
Depends on the degree of genetic material in each that you would consider to be yours. Because genetic material is spread among thousands of hybrids. But there are certain percentages that you might consider that if they contain that percentage, it might seem more like yours in the classical sense in which you usually mean that. That's my child. Do you understand? And on that level, it can fluctuate, but the average is usually somewhere around 15 to 17 that contain enough DNA of yours to, in a sense, be considered your children in the way that you usually mean it on Earth. Yes?
Interesting. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes.
Then will you please bizzle off?
Thank you. I will.
One moment. All right. We are allowed to give you one other interpretation of the term bizzle. Mischief. So you're also working with what might be called trickster energy, shapeshifter energy. Yes.
Hi.
And to you, good day.
Did that have anything to do with me that you revealed that?
A little.
Thank you.
Do you consider yourself to be somewhat cheeky?
Yes.
That
So-
seems to be delightful to some people. And so, what would you like to discuss, Cheeky?
So, do you have a message for me?
I just gave you one.
That's cheeky.
Yes.
Is that my name?
Are you asking a question?
Yes.
And?
Now it is, I guess.
And so? Does that appeal to you?
Well, kind of.
What would you prefer?
I like my name, Nore.
Which in your language means?
Light.
All right.
Okay, so I would like to know about Hinduism and Shiva.
What about it?
Who was and is Shiva?
Shiva is an archetypal consciousness, a portion of the collective consciousness of your planet expressed in a certain way, self-aware, certainly, but of an archetypal level of consciousness that represents a collective on your planet that has certain kinds of belief systems that are served best by the vibrational state of that particular archetypal being. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
All right.
Then I would like to have a permission slip to fly.
Did you slip on the permission slip?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
So, to fly in body, in human body.
Is that really relevant in your life?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you need to fly in physical form
It's
rather than
exciting.
stepping onto an airplane?
Well,
Why?
it could show a lot of people at the same time something great.
All right. So, is that really, truly a passion of yours?
Yeah.
How did you hesitate for that answer? Why did you hesitate? Why are you hesitating now?
Because not saying anything is like my highest, like, I feel passionate without anything.
I beg your pardon?
Like, I don't need anything.
You don't need anything.
Yeah.
So then you don't need to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? You don't need to fly, or yeah, you do?
No, I don't.
You seem very uncertain.
Yeah.
So, what would you prefer to be certain about?
What my passion is?
That's easily done because all you have to do is choose whatever option is available to you that has even the tiniest bit more excitement in it than any other option, no matter how simple it may seem. We assume that you came to this gathering tonight because it represented some expression of excitement or passion. When you leave this gathering tonight, you have many options. You can take a walk, you can read a book, you can eat a meal, you can talk to a friend, you can see a movie, many different things. All you have to do is keep picking the one that has even a little bit more attractiveness, curiosity, excitement in it than any other choice. Act on that one first to the best you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further, and have no absolute insistence or assumption as to what the outcome of that action ought to be. Remain in a positive state no matter what manifests at the end of that action. That keeps building and snowballing if you keep doing that. It builds into larger and larger representations of your passion. Not that it has to, because even if you are acting on simple daily things that are exciting to you, you're still living a life of passion. Doesn't have to be represented by any particular large-scale, grand expression in order to be representative of your passion in the moment. Yes?
Yeah.
It's simple. Keep it simple. Then there will be no confusion. There will be no uncertainty. You will be certain of every single thing you do because you are choosing it, because your higher mind is telling you, right now, this is you. That's what passion is. Right now, this is you. Act on it. And acting on it, as we said earlier, is the language of physical reality. If you're not taking action, you're not speaking the language, and you're not responding to the higher mind to say, I heard you. You can think all the thoughts you want, feel all the feelings you wish, use all the words that you wish to use. Without physical action, there is no dialogue between the physical you and the higher mind. And so the higher mind doesn't need to deliver anything else to you because you haven't used what it already gave you. You haven't responded in the language of physical reality by taking action. You understand the principle I'm explaining?
Yeah.
Yeah, but? Yeah, but what? Well,
I don't know.
then you will remain not knowing.
Okay.
I can't help you if you don't wish to know. So you are choosing to not know. Therefore,
I want to know.
but then you have to act like you wish to know.
So,
Your hesitation says otherwise. What are you so hesitant about? Are you afraid to know? Are you afraid to move forward on your passion for some reason?
yeah.
Why? What are you afraid will happen if you do?
I could say something wrong.
What does that mean? Say something wrong. Wrong to who?
To anyone.
So what? So what if you make a mistake? Who cares? Will you learn from it?
Yeah.
Well, then who cares? If you are willing to learn from the things that you don't prefer to do, then they helped you become more aware of what you do prefer. So you've used them in a positive way. So what do you care if it comes out the way you don't prefer it first, as long as you learn from it how to go into the direction you do prefer? Then that's what it was for. So in that sense, it wasn't wrong. Yes?
Yeah.
Are you beginning to get it? How it works?
Yeah.
Use whatever happens in the way that you prefer, in a way that works for you, in a way that's beneficial for you. Don't judge it by the way it looks. Yes?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
Yeah, one more thing.
Yes.
I'm getting energetical surges on my body.
Yes, well, that's not unusual. Because again, we are giving off a frequency through the channel's electromagnetic field that is more representative of the vibration of our reality. You may be picking up on that and translating some of that energy in your own electromagnetic field and feeling little surges. That's fine, because remember, there's not just words in this dialogue. There's energy communication going on many other levels too. So that's fine.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Here is something also perhaps that may serve that person and all of you. Please remember the power of paradox and let it give you a sense that you are connected, are powerful, no matter how you may feel at any given moment. The phrase we often say to some individuals is, don't be so certain about your uncertainty. Because you are being certain, just not necessarily about what you prefer to be certain about. But if you are feeling uncertain, then you are using your certainty that you are uncertain, instead of using your certainty for something else you prefer. Simple as that. You are never really uncertain, even though you can create an illusion that you are. And so,
Hello, Bashar.
and to you, good day.
I am a little bit shocked.
You are?
Yes.
Did you step on a wire?
What you said before, does this mean we can still go the way of the grace?
Yes, of course, you always have the choice. You can go the way of the grace or not. The probable realities are all still open to you. That's why this is such a pivotal point.
But this is individual choice.
Of course it is. But many individuals may choose something similar to other individuals and experience a collective sharing, just like you're experiencing right now. Being where you are right now is an individual choice, but part of your individual choice is to experience it as if you're sharing it with other individuals too.
Is it more a question of the frequency of the people
Yes.
or of the political situation?
It's the frequency of the political situation and how much of it you match individually. Remember, individuals who promote the idea of fear are themselves afraid.
Yes.
And therefore, they perhaps would like others to think they are more powerful than they are. So the idea of their greatest power is simply to attempt to use fear to convince others they are more powerful than they are, because then they get to feel powerful, even though they don't necessarily believe they are, because they are afraid that they are not. And that's the state they actually exist in. But they will attempt to protect themselves from feeling that way. Therefore, you have the saying on your planet, misery loves company. And therefore, as miserable as they may feel within themselves, they will deny that misery within themselves. But that misery vibration will still exist. But by denying it within themselves, then they have to project it outward in order to have other people who feel miserable too, so that they can feel powerful in having created more misery.
The misery, this means, as I understand it so far, that the people in power, and as many people, are suppressing painful emotions. Is this, would you support this understanding?
Repeat that. So that we are clear as to what you're saying.
Yes, I have the impression that because the frequency of the planet, of the mankind is rising, that suppressed emotions and memories are coming up.
Yes.
And many people need more energy to suppress it still. And everybody who is not in reflecting this,
Yes.
it's like a mirror, and they fight against the people who
Yes.
want to change.
Because they don't want to be reminded of what
Yes.
they feel is missing from within themselves that they see in other people. Therefore, they resent it.
Yes.
Therefore, they react in a negative way. They lash out.
So there, I see it. I see that there are two forces within mankind, one force is still try to suppress these painful emotions,
Yes.
mostly coming from the early childhood.
Not really, but that's another subject.
Okay, but
You just think it is.
yeah,
You have been taught to believe that it's coming from childhood. I know what you mean by that phrase, but part of the understanding of how things work is to realize that if you truly know you're a new person every single moment, then a new person actually has a new history. If it seems as if something is still there from childhood, then you are recreating it over and over and over again in your new present because for some reason you have a belief that says you must. Therefore, it doesn't really come from the original childhood. You've gone through an infinite number of histories in which you have simply recreated the idea that it comes from your childhood, but you're creating that from the present.
what does this mean for therapy?
It can mean many, many things. It can mean many things for therapy that are much more powerful than many of the techniques that are being used on your planet right now. Multiple parallel reality therapy can be very powerful if you understand how it works. This is what we call the 13th step.
Okay.
Any change is a total change, but you have to wrap your mind around that and understand that that's how it works. Otherwise, no, you won't get it. But if you understand that every change is a total change and you're really a totally different person every moment, then you also understand that because space and time are illusions, you're creating not only your future, but your past from the present every moment that you change. So it's up to you to decide how to define your present in a way that lets you know you don't have the same past. And if you don't have the same past, how can you possibly be affected by something that didn't happen to the person you are now?
So the understanding that our problems or challenges are
Yes,
coming
challenges.
from early childhood, this can be a trap in itself.
It can in and of itself, yes. Now, I'm not saying that that technique can't help some people who are oriented to believe that. It can be helpful, but it's not necessarily as clear an understanding of how reality works.
So the therapist should try to find out, should support.
Not
his-
should, can.
Yeah.
Can choose
Yeah.
to go in a different direction if they understand enough of how reality actually works, how it's actually created.
But it's a question of the individual permission slip.
Yes, of course. Of course. Always, 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 always.
So the therapist can support his patients to find their permission slips.
Or hers, yes.
Yeah. Okay. My second question. I'm an independent journalist.
Oh, all right. How exciting.
Yeah, sometimes, yes.
Oh, all right, if you say so.
I am excited to go into topics and understanding what's going on in society and in the world.
Yes.
And I'm excited to write about it, and I have some readers.
Yes, all right. I see. I knew you were excited.
Pardon? Because I'm excited, yes.
Yes.
So,
You said so. I'm excited to write about it.
yes. I am observing the political, social situation in Europe and Germany and worldwide
Yes.
intense, and I do my best to focus on the positive.
Then what more can you do?
And what I see is this escalating of the situation.
Yes, I told you it would. Because again,
Yes.
the idea is that everything has to come out on the table so that you can decide what kind of a world you really prefer. And those people who escalate in that negative direction will ultimately experience only that kind of an earth. Please remember, there are an infinite number of multiple parallel reality versions of Earth that exist right now. You never change the world you're on.
Yes.
You change yourself and you shift to another version of Earth that is already representative of the change you made within yourself.
Yes, it's tricky.
So you're going to, for a while, see other parallel versions of Earth that may not necessarily be vibrationally compatible with what you prefer, but in time, that will start to vanish not because that world changed, but because you've left it.
Yes. My question now is to
Yes.
support people to start to act in the society.
Yes.
I try to give them hope, some
Yes.
hope. This
Yes.
is necessary,
That's
but
fine.
someone who gave up will not act.
I understand. And hope is fine. But better is understanding how things work. Because once you understand how things work, in a sense, and I know this sounds a little contradictory, you no longer need hope because you have knowledge of how things work. And therefore, hope is unnecessary because you know that your actions in a certain state of being will create a certain result. And that's all there is to it. It may not create that result in someone else, but it will create it in your experiential reality.
Yeah. If I'm not free so far, or I feel not free,
You are not free
to
to do what?
to write about all what I learned from you.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're afraid to do so. That's what you mean by you're not free?
I think many people cannot take it.
So what?
So
There are
my-
people
my-
who can.
Yeah.
Don't those also qualify as your readers? The people who can take it? The people who can't take it aren't your audience anyway.
I understand this.
Do you?
My question is,
Yes.
this is a challenge.
So?
I understand. I have a daily challenge with this. But my question is, can you give me a hint? Where can I find? Where should I?
Where can you find
put
what?
my focus? What is the positive in everything? Do I really have to explain how reality works?
No. But the idea is that you can, in some sense, hint at it by the way you write about it. You can be, in a sense, clever enough, imaginative enough to create ideas and stories in a manner that taps into those principles without necessarily having to blatantly say so. It's just in the way you structure the story, because story structure is built in to human psyche. If you hit the right chords in the way you tell a story, even about something going on, you will actually tap into the right vibrations in a person that will trigger them to understand these concepts without necessarily blatantly saying so. So you have to be imaginative and clever enough to understand how to write your stories according to the story structure that's built into human psyche, which you call the hero's journey.
Okay.
That's all it takes. Just do it that way. And perhaps it might even be advantageous for you, if you haven't done so already, to write a little fiction. So that in a story that's fictional, you can talk about certain things in a little bit more broad way than you can when you're talking about something that's actually happening on your planet.
Yes, thank you. I started this already. Yes.
Oh, well,
I
there
think
you
it's-
go. So instinctively, you know what you need to do to reach the people you need to reach. It doesn't necessarily have to be through the news. It can be through stories.
Yes.
And even the news can be told as a story in a way that still plucks those chords and allows them to start understanding whatever way they are interested in understanding it, at whatever pace they're interested in understanding it, the underlying principles of how reality works.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. I have one last question.
Yes.
So you are an hybrid race,
Hybrid, yes.
hybrid race, and we are a hybrid race, and the
Yes.
Anunnaki were a hybrid race.
Yes, going back and back and back and back and back and back and back.
Yeah. So what is this playing with DNA all about?
It's one of the ways that things evolve. It's one of the ways that things change. There are actually entire races that are devoted to the evolutionary path of changing other races' DNA to help them evolve. That's part of the evolutionary path. It's part of growth. It's part of creating new perspectives, new experiences within
Yes.
existence.
For consciousness.
for all that is, as all that is, doing this within itself, to experience itself in all the ways that it can. There are mechanisms that exist in existence, in creation, in reality, that your scientists still know nothing about, that have to do with how beings and consciousness can expand. You are just learning about some of the basics now in your exploration of DNA, and we have told you now that there are also beings that are part of the DNA evolution that simply help other species go up and evolve and grow. But the idea is that there are many other mechanisms involved that your people know nothing about yet, but you will discover them in time.
But our scientists know only the physical part of DNA.
I'm even talking about physicality. There are many mechanisms, even in physicality, that you know nothing about yet that promote evolution.
Okay. I had an idea how it could be compared to our reality. I thought maybe it's like developing an avatar in a computer game.
In a sense, it's similar to that idea because you, as a physical being, all of you, are actually simply DNA beings. You surround yourself with a kind of avatar shell called a body so that you can be mobile and experience through your senses the idea of the personality projected holographic illusion you call physical reality. So yes, it's similar to the idea you're talking about.
Great, thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. My question is, my highest excitement for me, the bigger one, is acting.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So you are an actor.
Yes.
All right.
And
Yes.
I am following your teachings for a while now, and I've been practicing,
Yes.
following my highest excitement,
All
which
right.
I'm doing right now because I'm speaking to you.
Oh, all right. Me too.
Okay, cool. So we're both on the same
Of course.
level.
I do this because it is my passion and my pleasure.
That sounds great.
It is. That's why I do it. That's what I said.
Okay.
And so,
I just want some more clarification.
yes, on what?
Because I have the chance to talk to you.
On the instruction manual?
Yes.
What would you
I
like to
do
clarify?
understand following highest excitement without expectations. Do it as far as you can until you can't do
Yes.
it anymore.
Without insistence or assumption.
I realize practicing
And
this.
remaining in this positive state, no matter what manifests.
Yes,
Remember that part.
I do remember.
All right. And so, you have been doing this the best you can, yes?
Yes.
But you require
I'm very-
clarification.
Yes.
On
And the
what?
I realize there's two different levels that you can approach this formula. Sometimes when I follow my highest excitement,
Yes.
I am like, oh, is this my highest excitement? Is this my highest excitement? Is this my highest excitement?
Yes.
And what you say to that is just choose the one that feels slightly higher excited than the others, right?
That you have a greater ability to act on than
And-
the others too. Or if you cannot tell the difference, then you either might as well flip a coin, which might reveal which one is more exciting, or it doesn't matter which one you choose because the built-in synchronicity to the one you choose, if it's not the path of least resistance, if it's not the path of highest excitement, will automatically turn you around to the other path that is. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So here's my question. I'm gonna make it practical. Let's say
Yes.
because my highest excitement was at that moment
Yes.
because I couldn't find something else. Is I go on a hike
Go on a hike.
and I'm on a hike,
Yes.
but then in my head comes what means in my head it's like, how does this lead me to where I'm really gonna go?
But now see, you're analyzing. You're not trusting it.
Exactly. And what I've been doing recently
Yes.
was just trusting that wherever I am is the right place.
As long
to
as
be.
you are clearly honest within yourself that what you're acting on is excitement and not anxiety, then you're fine. Just follow it till you can follow it no further with no insistence on where it leads, because you don't really know why you might be taking that hike if
Yes.
that really was your passion at that moment. Nothing else may seem to happen, but you don't know what's going on around you, and you don't know that the timing of the hike might not be connected to something else and somewhere else you need to be at the perfect timing when the hike is done. So it might have just literally been a mechanism to get you to spend some time experiencing your passion in one form while something else was developing that wasn't ready until you were done with the hike. That's why you don't really know why the passion might come in that form, and you don't need to question why it comes in that form, because sometimes it only comes in a form to get you to move, so that you will then wind up where you really need to be, so what really needs to happen can happen for you. But that may have been the path.
I love that.
That's how it works. The path of least resistance is not necessarily a straight line. If it's the path of least resistance, it doesn't matter how curvy it is, because it's the path of least resistance, it's going to be the fastest path, faster than the straight line that isn't your path. Because on the straighter path that isn't yours, you will meet obstacle after obstacle, resistance after resistance, and you will go so slowly on it that it will be slower than the curving path, on which there is no hesitation and no delay. Yes?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Does that help clarify that point?
Yes, I love that.
Something else?
Yes. Take it as far as you can until you can't take it no further.
And this means you have to look at all the parameters in your society and in the circumstance before you that either do or don't allow you to act while maintaining alignment with your integrity, with yourself. So if there is a law that prevents you from going further, that's the end.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because you've agreed to abide by that law. Now, if you want to change that law, that's fine. But breaking the law isn't the issue.
Yes.
That's not the way to go further. If there is something there, it's there for a reason to turn you around in another direction, to let you know you've taken it as far as you can within the parameters you've agreed to abide by.
And I trust that then.
Yes. Because it's an arrow saying, all right, time's up, go this way now.
And is that also taking it as far as you can? Is it connected to joy? Because
Why wouldn't it be?
Why wouldn't it be?
Because you're always acting on your passion. So the idea is that at some point, the passion may change into another form, but that doesn't mean you're losing the passion just because it shifts the way it looks or the way it comes or the direction it takes you in.
So let's say I'm on that hike and I have joy for a certain time, but then I'm like, okay,
It may be temporarily that it has to feel like the wind has gone out of your sails so that you will pay attention to the fact that it's time to shift your focus and be open to the next form in which it comes. But again, that's simple, as we explained earlier. If suddenly you're on that hike that gave you so much joy and suddenly, truly, honestly, the wind goes out of your excitement and you're standing there wondering what to do, then as we said, just look for the next simplest thing. That contains more excitement than anything else. It might be, all right, well, time to go back, time to go home. Or maybe I need to stare at this flower for a while. Maybe that's more exciting than anything else. Or maybe I need to listen to that bird singing for a moment. Just pick the one that's more exciting, even just the tiniest bit more exciting than any other option that is right in front of your face. That's all you have to do. It might be something that goes, oh, I need to call a friend. That's my passion. So I will go home, or I'll find a phone, or I'll have a phone and I'll make the call. And that's my passion now at this particular moment. So yes, if the seeming wind goes out of your passion, take a moment to just look around. That's your opportunity to see what other direction your passion is pulling you in. It's all right to have that momentary limbo state without worrying that you've lost your passion. That's not the way to use that moment.
Can it be something internal too?
Of course it can.
It could
you might
be like a
momentarily in the silence have a profound realization. So yes, stay with what's happening. Whatever is happening is the most important thing that could be happening. There is nothing more important than what's happening now, and nowhere more important to be than where you are.
I love that.
Yes.
So just to make sure I understand this right, wherever I am, if I just trust that wherever I am is the perfect place to be, that kind of brings up the vibration that will give me an inspiration to get the next highest excitement.
Yes, because even if where you are is not the perfect place for you to be, by remaining in the positive state and accepting that that's what's happening, it will give you a better and clearer understanding of the perfect place for you to be. That's how you use what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer.
I love that. So even if it's not the right place,
It's the right place.
it's the right place because I make it the right place.
To give you a sense of what the right place would be by comparison. Because sometimes in your species and in your journey and the way you've been taught to think about things, it is sometimes more helpful to discover what you're not. And that helps you more clearly identify what you are by comparison. That's just the way it works sometimes. By manifesting something you don't prefer, you have a clearer understanding by contrast of what you do prefer. Therefore, you're using what you don't prefer in a way that you do to create a positive understanding. Yes?
That makes sense. Yeah. Now, applying this, I realized there's a way to apply it from, it's a hard way to say it, but your inner body or your intuition.
Just take the action. Just take the action. Just take the action. Don't overcomplicate this. Don't overthink it. The way to apply it is to take the action that it represents, either stillness or activity, one way or the other, but take the action the moment calls for. Take the action. Look around, see what excites you. If staying there and being quiet excites you, take the action of staying there and being quiet. If moving to do something or looking at something or hearing something moves you, take the action. It's that simple. You don't have to overthink it.
How do I stop overthinking it? By taking any action?
By taking the action that excites you more than any other.
But what if I don't know in that moment? Because there's many times in my life where I sit there and I'm like, okay,
Were you
I don't
hearing
know.
us explain the idea about it doesn't matter which one you choose? Something is going to be more exciting than something else, more attractive than something else, more curiosity provoking than something else. Something is.
So it doesn't have to be like crazy. It can be just a little bit more exciting than boring. And it's like, oh my God, okay, I could get a green
If that's
juice.
what works for you, yes.
And that's fine.
Yes. It starts somewhere. Start somewhere. Then it will snowball, it will build, it will grow if you keep doing that. Yes.
So
The simplest thing, the smallest thing that excites you more than not doing anything. Yes. Just do it.
So
That's honestly what excites you.
when I'm just bored and like, I don't know what to do and it says...
The idea is, again, remember, there are no boring circumstances, just bored minds.
Exactly.
But
so
that
how do I
gives
get
you
out
an
the bored
opportunity.
mind?
That gives you an opportunity to say, all right, I'm choosing to experience boredom. Why?
Okay.
Why am I choosing that experience over finding something that would excite me? I guess being bored excites me right now. And then you go, oh, well, maybe not really. So if it doesn't excite you anymore to be bored, look for something that does. But you have to have that dialogue, that honest dialogue with yourself to acknowledge what it is you are choosing, because it is a choice. Boredom is not something that happens to you. It's a choice you're making. You have to own it. You have to stay in charge. Otherwise, you can't change it. So if you're bored, say, all right, I'm choosing to be bored. Why would I choose to be bored? I don't prefer to be bored. Do I? Maybe I do. I don't know. Well, let me see. All right, boredom. Well, actually, it gives me a chance to rest for the moment. Maybe I don't have to do anything right now. I'm excited about not doing anything right now. I'm excited about being bored right now. Okay, I'm done. Now what can I do? You can work through it very quickly if you own where you're at and ask yourself why you chose that. Because once you make it a choice, as opposed to just, well, I'm just bored, I don't know why, it's just something that happened. No, it isn't, it never is. You're always in charge. Even when you're bored, you're in charge of creating that. So ask yourself why. And then you're on a trip, you're on a journey, you're on a dialogue, you're on an exploration, you're on an investigation. Why am I bored? And as soon as you're on an investigation, why am I bored? You're not bored anymore.
You're right. It's because it feels more like stagnation, and then it's the fear of because it's
Thank
the fear.
you.
Yeah, I just got
Thank
it's the
you.
fear of not making the right choice.
Thank you.
So how do I
Give up.
How do I give up?
Give up the idea of having to make the right choice by understanding that if you follow your passion, the choice is always right. You can't make a wrong choice if you are willing to learn from the choices you make. It doesn't matter what they are if you're willing to learn and grow from the choices you make. And the only way you can do that is to take responsibility for the choices you make. Own them, like I said. Then, no matter what you choose, even if it's something you realize you don't really prefer, it's not wrong. It's something you're willing to learn from that will clarify what you do prefer by comparison. Therefore, it can't be wrong because it brought you to the realization of what you do prefer. So stop thinking in those terms and you won't experience life that way. Just understand it doesn't serve you to label things the way you're labeling them, and change the labels in a way that works for you. It's that simple. Now, you don't have to believe it's that simple. If you want it to be more difficult, I'm not going to stop you, because maybe you enjoy it being difficult because you have a belief that you won't have earned it if it's not a struggle. If you want to do it that way, that's fine. I'm not saying that you can't experience work in your life or challenges in your life. Of course you can. But it doesn't have to be such a struggle, such a conundrum. You can understand it very clearly by simply owning whatever state you're in and asking why you would choose to experience that at that moment. Then you have something to work with and you'll no longer be bored. Yes?
That makes sense.
I know.
Yeah,
Again, that's why I
you were
said
gonna
it.
say that.
How psychic of you.
To give an example, today when I woke up,
Yes.
I meditated, and I suddenly was like, okay, what? I want to go to more events. What is Bashar doing? And I went to the website and I was like, oh my God, it's today.
Yes.
So then I was like, okay, am I excited? Of course I was excited about going, right?
No, you don't have to be.
No, I was. That's why I'm here. I'm here right now, right? With all these people looking at me while I'm trying to ask a question.
Yes.
But then I realized there's two voices. There's a voice that's like almost the voice from the head and the voice from within.
Yes.
So I was like, okay,
So which one do you want to listen to?
the voice from within. But I would like to be more often in the state of the voice of
Then
within.
ask the question. Why would I choose to be in any other state? How do I believe it serves me to be in a state I don't prefer to be in, or listen to a voice I don't prefer to listen to?
Because-
how does it serve me? What's my belief?
Because the voice is almost not like it's almost not recognizable with the logical brain. It's like there was 3 events, right? Today, tomorrow, and the day after.
Yes, we know.
And obviously, I
Thank you for pointing that out.
just yeah.
We might have forgotten
You're welcome.
somehow.
You're welcome. And today, obviously, I'm here today, so I chose today. Okay.
Yes.
But my head was like, oh, the description of today. I was like, okay, it's not really that interesting to me.
Then why are you here?
Because my gut said go.
Then why is it so difficult to just pay attention to your gut?
Because my head said my highest excitement go on Sunday, but my gut said go today.
So
But
you
I don't
went
know
today.
always, but sometimes my brain is so like, oh, giving me so many, this could be better and this scientifically better, this is good, this description's like that it like drowns out the voice from within. So I want to have
But if
a
you
tool.
know it's doing that,
Yes.
why do you pay attention to it?
Because sometimes you're so in it that you don't observe it, and I want to have like a tool where like I can more of the time like listen to that voice within.
All right. Well, the easiest way to do is to see exactly what happened to you today. The idea is you just need to practice and get the reinforcement more often that your gut and synchronicity are more aligned than your head. Because as you have now experienced, by choosing to follow your gut and coming here, you synchronistically got chosen to have this conversation, which reinforces your ability to trust your gut. Yes? So just keep practicing and following the gut and see what happens.
Okay.
It will eventually make itself clear as to what it is you need to do.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
You may now follow your gut back to your seat.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So I have found my highest level of happiness and I know what it is and I'm there, but I keep on letting a specific individual daily knock it down.
So why do you choose to knock yourself down just because of what that individual does? What does that individual have to do with your choices?
I don't know.
Sure you do. Come on.
Well, I guess she's holding me back from really
No,
what I
she's
want.
not. You are. Why? Why are you agreeing with that individual about what's correct for you? What do you get out of doing that?
Nothing.
Sure you do. You get to play it safe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't hard, was it?
No.
Thank you. So what are you afraid will happen if you actually stop listening, stop agreeing, and move forward in the way that you prefer to be the person you prefer to be? What are you afraid will happen?
I guess that I don't deserve the happiness that I really want.
Oh, really? So if you don't deserve the happiness, why do you exist? Why are you able to conceive of the idea that you could be happy? Because if you really didn't deserve it, you wouldn't be able to even think about the idea. You wouldn't even know what that meant.
Right.
But you are given the opportunity to know what that means. So do you think that creation is just torturing you by allowing you to know about the concept of happiness, but there is absolutely no way you can reach it? Is reality that cruel to you?
No, it's not.
Well, then if you know that, why would you assume you don't deserve it if you can imagine it? Why would you paint creation in that dark of a light?
Because it's easier for me to believe that.
Because you enjoy playing victim. What do you get out of being a victim? Sympathy? Poor you?
Yeah.
I don't really have to try because, oh, I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will never really fail because I have a perfectly good reason to never try.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Absolutely.
All right, so you see, you did know, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so now that you know, is there any reason to keep believing that you don't deserve it? Really?
None at all.
All right.
None at all.
Are you willing to understand that by the very fact of your existence, you're worthy and deserving?
Yeah.
Because you understand that you wouldn't exist if you weren't? Because creation doesn't do pointless things?
Right.
And you are not pointless?
Right.
You are a beautiful reflection of all that is in your own unique way. And being yourself is not only what allows you to experience joy, but allows all that is to experience the joy of you. Okay. Don't deprive all that is of that great gift.
Okay.
Please.
Got it.
Is this helping?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Yes.
It's nice to meet you.
And you as well.
I guess I have a few questions.
Yes.
I do have a few
Thank you.
questions. About experiences that have happened to me.
Yes, such as?
Such as when I was a little girl, I remember waking up and my bed flew from one side of the room to the other side.
How exciting. You had your own magic carpet.
Yes, but I'm wondering what this experience was.
Well, it's a combination of a few different things. It is representative of a vibration you picked up from an encounter with other beings and other realities, other dimensions, that stuck with you strongly enough that you still radiated the frequency of a different form of reality that allowed this one to become more flexible, malleable, and more magical. Because you, in a sense, still weren't really strongly connected to it as if it was truly real or grounding. So you had a little bit more, well, shall I say, levity in your life?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. And
Definitely. And then
what else?
another experience, I was astral projecting.
As I said,
and I left my body.
Yes.
And my consciousness was floating up.
Yes.
And I saw a bunch of colorful orbs.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if this is something you recognize?
Oh, yes. Understand that in the natural form of spirit, if you don't hold on to the idea that you look like anything or anyone in particular, your natural form is as an orb of light. That's really what spirits look like. They're just energy balls. That's a focus of concentration and consciousness. It doesn't have to look like anything. It doesn't really have to take any particular personality shape. So you were perceiving the true essence of spirits.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Once again.
I tend to...
You what?
I
beg your pardon?
I see and feel energies.
And
choose to feel energies.
Yes, not tend, choose.
Okay. Choose.
Tendency is out of your control. Choice is what you are in control of. So you are choosing to
feel other energy forms.
Yes.
In the same space that I'm in.
Are you starting to see a pattern here?
Yes.
You are highly charged and highly sensitive to higher frequency energies, and very often will exemplify the idea of what is possible from those states of being. You are loosely connected to physical reality in that sense. So, What are you doing with that talent and that skill and that ability in life? How are you applying it? Well, you know the formula, yes? That we've been talking about. Follow your passion best you can. No insistence. Stay in the positive state, yes? That will usually bring you to a deeper understanding of how you can use these kinds of experiences in your life, because one of the things that comes with that is the organizing principle of synchronicity, which brings you inspiration and awareness as to how to utilize what it is that you're experiencing. It doesn't leave anything out. It will bring you, in a sense, the opportunities, the instructions. You'll know what to do. But you have to act on the formula to accelerate yourself in a way that allows you to know how to apply this in your physical experience, because that's why you chose to be here, bringing those energies down to earth. But you remain loosely connected so you can do that more consciously. But that's a positive thing.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yes. And so how are you using this in your life?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to use this in my life.
Well, what kind of a person are you? What kind of a person have you chosen to be because of these experiences?
A spiritual person.
There you go. So you are giving yourself an opportunity to be a living example of a higher state of being, so that you can do what you need to do, take the actions you need to take that will be examples to other people who may see you and say, oh, look at the wonderful life she is living. Look how happy she is. Look how excited she is. Maybe that's something I can do for myself too. You may never know how many people you're helping. People who walk by may just see you looking all happy and go, wow, I wish I could be that happy too. And maybe you will have changed their lives because they're willing to change their lives just by seeing you as a living example. You don't know how many people you're helping just by being you.
Okay, well, I was about to ask how I can help people through this.
Just told you.
Yeah.
Now, you can do it in any other way that you're conscious of wishing to do it. That's up to you. But all I'm telling you is you're already helping just by being you. And the only way you can help people is by being you to the best you can, because that's your purpose in life. That's your mission. All of you. Your purpose is the same. Your expressions are different, but your purpose is the same. Being you as best as you can, as fully as you can.
Great.
Yes.
What's the best way for me to communicate with other beings that I've felt?
Well, it seems like you're already doing that. But again, when we give you all the formula, we give it to you because that is the basic instruction manual for everything you're asking. Because when you follow your passion, what happens? You raise your frequency. When you raise your frequency, what happens? You become a better receiver of higher frequency communication. You become a better antenna to those frequencies. So one thing leads to another. Every relevant thing is contained in the formula, in the instruction manual. That's why we give it to you in a simple form. Look, A, B, C, D. Here. This will answer your questions. This will allow you to experience everything that's relevant for you to experience, that's a reflection of your passion and joy in life, and allow you to be more of who you truly are. It's all contained within this little kit. You don't have to overthink it or go beyond it. We can discuss for hours and days and weeks and months and years, as we have, the details of those instructions. We can go into them deeper. We can help you understand them more clearly. But there are no more instructions in the manual. You have the entire manual. Just follow the instructions as you would any instruction book for operating a piece of machinery. It'll work to your advantage if you do that. Yes?
Yes.
That's it. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. It is simpler than you think. It is. It really is. If we can impress anything upon any of you in the course of the years that we have been sharing this information, please take it to heart. It is simpler than you think. Literally, listen to that sentence. It's simpler than you think. So stop thinking so much and just go with the flow. Remember, every one of you is a current in the ocean of creation. Your current knows where you need to go. Surrender is not giving up control. Surrender is going with the flow of your current in the natural control that's built into it. You don't have to control it in any extra way. Let your physical mind relax. Let it do the job it was designed to do, which is to give you a physical experience of what's happening in the moment. Ride the current. You'll wind up where you need to go. It's that simple.
Great. And I have another question.
Yes.
I was wondering about astrology and
Permission slip, like anything. A reflection of states of consciousness within individuals and groups, but not a causation, a reflection. People can use the permission slip to get in touch more precisely, if they're sensitive enough to do so, to use that particular permission slip tool to realize what's going on in the consciousness of an individual and to understand what that individual may have laid out for themselves, at least to some degree, in the theme that they chose to explore in this life. But like anything, any tool, any technique, any ritual, any object, it's a permission slip that simply aligns with someone's belief system at the present moment, that allows them to more easily grant themselves permission to change and be more of themselves. But the person is doing the changing, not the tool. The tool is just a mirror you're using to say, yes, I like the way I look in that mirror. And so you allow yourself to be that you more easily because you believe the permission slip gives you a better way, an easier way of doing that, because it's aligning with your belief system to allow you to circumvent your belief system more easily. Everything is a permission slip. Use whatever works for you. Whatever you're attracted to because it works for you. Otherwise, when you change, you might be attracted to a different permission slip. Or you might get to the point where you realize you are the ultimate permission slip, and then you don't need any external device. You will just change as you prefer to in any given moment, in the blink of an eye. Or at least in whatever length of process is necessary for you to fully transform and appreciate the transformation in the way that you wanted to by choosing to have a physical experience. Did that answer your question?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I've answered a call to a quest of remembering.
Remembering what? More of who you are?
That's part of it.
All right. What's the other part?
The role I've played and the role the crystal skulls are playing.
Yes. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how's the journey so far?
Very fast and very full of synchronicity. And lots
Oh,
of
all
excitement.
right. And so,
And so I've come for more clarity
about what?
around the archetypes that the
Yes.
different skulls
Represent.
are representing
Yes.
and the source in which they've been encoded.
Well, the original source goes back to what you would call Atlantean times. And so it was understood that eventually, because there are cycles on your planet where things may come together and then be broken apart and so on and so forth, that certain understandings and knowledge should be imbued in many different forms. The crystal skulls, all 13, are one of those forms. The master skull has yet to be discovered, but there are those that, in a sense, were infused with the knowledge from the master skull, and some of them exist in public and some of them still do not, of the originals.
You've spoken a bit of this, one particular one, the Mitchell Hedges skull,
Cucumots.
Kukumats. My question was more about the others
Yes.
and the other energies, the archetypal energies that they're holding.
Well, we have spoken recently of one that does exist in the care of indigenous people in the northeastern United States border, Canada, in that region generally, that goes by the name of sequoia. And it has to do with connections to the trees and nature. That's its archetypal energy. Then there is that which exists near Angkor Wat that is called Tet and has to do with other kinds of archetypal energy. And then there is that in Tibet known as Shan that has to do with other dimensional realms and portals. These are the ones that we can discuss at this time. The others have their timing and have yet to be discovered in ways that will allow all eventually to be brought together into the master circle of 13.
And along those lines, is there a reason why they're not able to be spoken about? The other archetypes?
You're not ready.
Me personally or humanity?
Humanity in general. Some individuals may be ready before the population, and through synchronicity, you may find your way before the general population, because that is your passion and your interest. But in general, we are only allowed to go so far in this information, not only because it might not be appropriate at the moment, and also maybe because there are people who are simply not ready for it, but it might also not be our job to dispense that information. It might be the job of others.
That makes sense.
Once again.
Along those lines, I've received a lot of information recently from the skulls. It felt like a stream of other languages, cosmic languages, and maps.
Yes.
And
There's a lot of knowledge and information embedded in the skulls. In various languages, not even the languages only of Earth.
yes, and then I saw faces and eyes of specific races.
Yes.
And was receiving ways of communicating with all the different
Right.
races.
Very good.
In that, it made me curious too about what I've been remembering
Yes.
around the hybrids involvement.
Yes.
And just the understanding of how humanity was seeded.
Through the idea of the genetic alterations, you mean?
More like, what are the combinations of the races, and what are those relationships, what are those histories?
Well, there are many. And again, some we cannot necessarily discuss at this time. But we have already mentioned that there are Sirius connections and Orion connections and Lyran connections, Pleiadian connections, Arcturus connections, hybrid connections, gray connections, parallel reality connections, and several others that we won't mention right now.
So the hunch that I'm having, or I guess the part of the remembrance, is these skulls in a way accessing multiple.
One moment. Receiving new data. What is coming to the forefront also recently is the connection to some of the star systems that form the constellation you call Draco, the dragon. This is coming more back into your consciousness at this time as a connection. So this is another portal that is awakening.
I've had memories of being a dragon.
Well, yes and no. Not in the literal sense as people think. The idea of the dragon represents many different kinds of things and archetypal levels of beings from other dimensions that express themselves in certain ways in your physical reality that take on the form that you are calling a dragon. So it is not necessarily meant as a typical flesh and blood animal, but
The
you are
energetic
connected
signature.
to the energetics and the idea of the systems that we just referred to in the Draco constellation. And this is not in any way, shape, or form meant in the negative connotation of draconian.
Yeah, and along those lines, the different frequencies of those systems and those races are encoded in these skulls. I'm just curious
Yes.
about the function of them as memory, them as working together, their collective.
Well, yes, it gives you your entire history. It gives you an understanding of connections to all the different races of which you have some connection to among the stars, the galactic family, and many other things, many other levels of knowledge and understanding of the structure and nature of existence and many things.
And how does that serve, or how can that serve humanity at this time?
Really?
Well, I know the answer to that. I'm more wanting to have the dialogue with you.
Well, it's a quest. To search for them is to search within the self and to discover those parts within the self that are represented by aspects and archetypal energies that are represented in the skulls. So it's part of a quest to pull yourselves back together, in a sense. A gathering, an awakening, a realization, a shamanistic journey of understanding and awakening.
That resonates. Also on the level of what humanity's invitation is to evolve to a different.
Invitation that exists for all life to be all that is.
Along those lines, are the crystal skulls also the crystalline form of them?
Yes. What about it? It's a good storage.
Also just a clue of what we are able to evolve to or return
There
to.
is more and more silicon evolving in your bodies to make you more receptive antennas. Not only to higher frequency energies, but also to the skulls.
Would you say that there's a shift happening in terms of a shift in our species, like turning into a different species?
This is what we mean when we say Earth is becoming the sixth hybrid race. And we have already said many times, whether you are aware of it or not, that many of the children that have been being born for the past few decades on your planet are not new generations, they are a new species.
Yeah, I was feeling that. A new species, but also able to communicate with those other off-world species.
Well, yes, of course. That's part of what happens when you are more of yourself.
The Lyrans also keep coming through as a strong pointer
Yes,
towards
I said so.
what's coming next in terms of
The Lyrans and the Pleiadians are offshoots of evolutionary forms of what the Anunnaki became.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
You understand the Anunnaki?
Yeah, but I'm
The
curious
Anunnaki
what you
no
could
longer
share.
exist in their original form. They evolved and went into systems that you now recognize as the Lyrans, which also gave progeny to the existence of the Pleiadians. So they are your cousins in many ways.
What can you tell me about my specific lineage?
Nothing at this time because there is no time for it. This will be another conversation because there is a lot of information to unpack in that conversation.
That I'm going to be discovering and
Well, yes, but also simply for the auspices of this transmission, it is simply more information than we have time for.
I understand.
So thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be in service with you.
And you as well.
Thank you.
please take a short break. We will resume this transmission to crystallize in the transmission today in your upcoming meditation.
We will reconvene in 15 minutes.
All right, I'll say let us continue the transmission by asking each and every one of you to become very comfortable in your seats. Relax, let go, and let the cares of the day drift away. Oh, good letting go. Allow yourselves to breathe easily and deeply. As your lights begin to play and your music rises, just allow yourselves to feel your body relax with every breath and open up to the journey that we invite you on this day of your time into a new reality. Let yourself focus on the holotope. The colors, let them play through your eyes. And let the energy stream through all of your cells, your nerves, the blood coursing through your veins and arteries, the electrical currents in your brain. Let it all flow smoothly, without resistance, so that you may go into a relaxed, healing state that will allow you to center to the very core of your being. There are powerful vibrations emanating to your world from many of us this day of your time. As we explained, our approach in this transmission is unusual and rare. But now is the time to exercise the freedom to choose. For this is not only about the structures of your society. This was also a reading of the collective energy in your society. A litmus test. A rock thrown in a pond to create ripples which tell us how to read the temperature, the energy, the state of being of your society as a whole, and portions of it, collectives in it, individuals and groups, thought processes. We have this day in this transmission dipped a finger into your pond in a new and unique way, specifically for the purpose of creating those ripples so that we may know who will allow themselves to move more easily in the direction of contact and who shall fall away. For these ripples spread out electromagnetically way beyond the voice that you hear, in this particular chamber. For the thoughts, the feelings, the energy are ephemeral and know no borders. They penetrate through the very earth. The vibrations will resonate as the ripples reach out and grow, some reinforcing, some canceling. There are many watching, many observing, many taking note, many reading. For this is a time and a rite of passage. A rite that allows for frequencies, vibrations to be sent out to either be matched or discarded, harmonized with or discordant. And allow all to look within, to know their own truth, for what they believe is correct for them in the multitude of versions of earth that overlap in this moment here and now, in this space here and now, in this eternal moment of existence. As you see in the holotope, the lines and the circles radiating out from the center, these are the ripples that go beyond the borders of the diagram and the graphic before you, and reach into other dimensions in many directions that penetrate the psyche of your world, that begin to break down the barriers of the human mind and open you to more possibilities and more probabilities, so that you may choose more freely what you believe to be right for you. It matters not what your choices may be, for we validate and allow you your choices because we love you unconditionally. But it is an opportunity to look within yourselves at your own reactions to the ripples and decide whether what you have experienced in this litmus test, in the ripples in the pond, is the state of being that you prefer to live within, and the version of earth that goes with it. Allow yourselves to be free to choose with no recrimination, no negative judgment, for all are equal in the eyes of all that is. You are all infinite and eternal spirits, and no matter your choices in this life or in any other reality that you may experience, all roads ultimately lead home. And home is here, and home is now. And we welcome you home. Let the vibrations carry you on the currents of creation. Let yourselves float freely in the infinite sea, drifting in the void, peppered and salted by stars and darkness, light and dark. And the neutral space in between, the balance point, the pivot point, the power to choose, the fulcrum that exists within you. Move the lever, and the world shall move with you. For you are the world, that you inhabit. It is within you. Let yourselves float freely. Breathe deeply and be at peace. Be at peace with yourself, no matter who you are, no matter what you may choose to believe. Be at peace. You are supported by unconditional love. For all are children of creation. All are aspects of the infinite. All are reflections of all that is. But shy not away from your choices. For your choices are who you are. For you are unique, and that is why you exist. You are a path. You are a reflection of the infinite. You are the theme of your life. You. Grow in strength, grow in love, grow in allowance, grow in peace. Your greatest power is the freedom to choose. Choose according to who you truly are, deep in your heart, deep in your soul, deep in your core. And all will be as it needs to be. And all will fall into place effortlessly. Dream now with us. Drift now with us. Float now with us through the velvet void. And welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Crystallize now within you the certainty of your path, of who you are, of your being, of your choices. Let synchronicity guide you. It will never lead you astray. All roads lead home. Allow your music to soften, allow your lights to dim, and continue to simply drift. Drift in serenity, in peace, in joy, in love. You are a gift to us, and we love you unconditionally. Be at peace, be at peace, be at peace. Sweet dreams.